Before we get into this video, full disclosure, Google was nice enough to provide me this device for my full, unedited, unfiltered comments. This is part of the Gift from Google campaign, and they were nice enough to provide me one for this review. With that said, this is my review of the Google Pixel 5a with 5G. This mid-range device adds some really nice improvement to Google's Pixel lineup. The Pixel 5, which is their flagship, is another device that I really enjoyed using and is my recommended device for Android aficionados. That is until this 5A was introduced. Crazy how many thought it was just canceled altogether just a couple of months ago, yet here we are and here we have this device and it's available. To make a long story short, and if you just want me to cut to the chase in this video review for you, the Pixel 5a gives you a bigger screen, battery, and IP rated water and dust resistance for what I would consider a reasonable price. For $450, this device is a strong contender for your money, and it's one of those devices that you buy and you're happy that you did. So if you're in the market for an upgrade or need a replacement device for a fair price, buy this thing. You will not be disappointed. Hopping into this review, people won't find any beefy hardware specs with the 5a. Instead, Google decided to continue building on what was already a good phone, taking the good stuff and tweaking them to make their device offerings even better for even cheaper. The first thing you'll notice is the larger battery. The Pixel 5 provided users with a really good battery as it was. The 5a just adds to that. The 4,680 milliamp hour battery is a really nice upgrade. Another big improvement that you'll notice right out the gate is the 5a adds a really premium metal unibody. Feels great in the hand. In addition to throwing Corning Gorilla Glass 3 on top of that and adding an IP67 water and dust resistance capability to this device. In reality, Google could have walked away at this point, pushed out this updated device and called it a day, but they didn't. There's a lot of folks out there saying that this is not the most exciting update, which I could see their stance there, but to me, this is definitely a really important one. The Pixel 5a uses the same Snapdragon 765G processor and Adreno 620 GPU as the 5, the 4a, and the 4a 5G. Similarly, it has 6 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage, as the 4a and 4a 5G. With the storage though, there's about 110 gigabytes that's usable to you as the user after you get all of your apps pulled over from your old device and installed. One thing that you'll probably already know, that's 2 less gigabytes of RAM than the flagship 5. Google continues to offer the same camera here. There's no sensor change here. There's no update here. It's the same one that you've experienced in, I don't know, the Nexus 5. I'm just kidding. I know that's not where it started, but it feels like it. The 12 megapixel main and 16 megapixel ultra wide rear facing sensors on this camera still perform really well. The cameras are good. I'm not complaining, but it's time, Google. It's time to give us some new sensors. This is getting real old, and it's very predictable of a Pixel phone to have this same camera setup. I feel a little bit bad about saying this, but Google continues to let me down by not allowing me to shoot videos in 24 frames per second, which is so freaking weird to me because the Google Pixel, from my perspective, is driven towards creatives. And well, I think creatives want to shoot cinematic video, and to do that, you have to have 24 frames per second. But you still can't do that on the Pixel lineup. Just push out a software update and give that to us, Google. So with that said, let's hop over to a camera sample. That's all gonna be shot in 30 frames per second because that's what's available. And one thing you'll notice, if you haven't noticed already, that this video is being filmed at the same, frames per second as that camera's capability because I didn't wanna have any mixing of footage and frames per second and stuff like that. So with that said, let's hop over there now. All right, so here's a sample of the rear facing camera on the Google Pixel 5a. Dynamic range is decent. This is the standard field of view. But when you get into brighter situations, you can see the shadows kind of fall off and you're losing a lot of detail there. There are 3 modes within the camera that'll allow you to go wider field of view. The dynamic range here falls off a little bit more in the shadows as well, especially when you start to look at like overexposed areas like you do here, you can see here in the sky. You can also do a zoom in, so this is 2 times zoom in, and it does a decent job at transitioning really smoothly, but it introduces quite a bit of grain in the darker shadowy areas. So if we go up here You can see when we go down to transition, you can see there's a little bit of grain introduction there. This is the standard field of view. Again, this is being shot at 30 frames per second because of the limitation that the camera is putting on me. And I did make an exception with this review and shot the whole thing with 30 frames per second so I could get an accurate representation of what's being produced on the rear facing camera with the Google Pixel 5a. Let me know what you think with a comment down below of this footage. I think it's really good for the cost of this phone. So here's one of the things that I hate the most about the Pixel lineup. It's the front facing camera. You don't have any real granular control over frame rate, resolution, or anything like that. You kind of are just guessing at this point and allowing Google to make those decisions for you. I don't really like that. It is a good, decent front-facing camera, and it has portrait mode and all that type of stuff, a night sight and all that good stuff. But in my opinion, they should do a better job at giving you more control in the camera app of things like frame rate, resolution, if you wanted to kind of enable some other things. I think the video on the Pixel lineup isn't as good as what you would experience on, let's say, an iPhone. And that's just a given. iPhone's a powerhouse when it comes to video, but it does hold up well when you're talking about stills. So again, microphone's really great. Let me know what you think with a comment down below of this footage.
Yeah, started on a 50 mil lens. Now I'm about to bag 50 mil yen. I can shoot all day, I got stamina. Turtleneck on with my camera, yeah. Stay creamy, man, that's what they say. Shoes laced up and I came to play. Yeah, I'm first team, I'm a superstar. They call me cream, like a Georgia bar. Yeah, you had to face it, let's get back to basics. I'ma take the shot like it's a vaccination. I don't have the patience, I'ma shoot right now. Yeah, we undefeated, you gon' lose right now. Like click, 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 swish. I can switch it up anytime like this. I'm a videographer and I'm on the verse. So when I shoot my shot, I don't miss. I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. You know I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. Pull up and take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. You know I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. Yeah, started on a 50 mil lens. Now I'm about to bag 50 mil yen. I can shoot all day, I got stamina. Turtleneck on with my camera, yeah. Stay creamy, man, that's what they say. Shoes laced up and I came to play. Yeah, I'm first team, I'm a superstar. They call me cream, like a Georgia bar. Yeah, you had to face it, let's get back to basics. I'ma take the shot like it's a vaccination. I don't have the patience, I'ma shoot right now. Yeah, we undefeated, and you gon' lose right now. Like click, 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 swish. I can switch it up anytime like this. I'm a videographer and I'm on the verse. So when I shoot my shot, I don't miss. I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. You know I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. Pull up and take the shot, take the shot, take the shot. You know I'm gonna take the shot, take the shot, take the shot.
One really notable omission to me is that there's still no wireless charging, which to me is kind of a bummer because I primarily charge my devices that way. It's a minor inconvenience to say the least, and I haven't really been bothered by it because the battery life on this device delivers a really good experience. It will last throughout a day. I can get through a full day of moderate to heavy use, no problem, and have about 10% left when I go to bed at night. And that's because the battery has seen a pretty significant boost. It has been bumped up to 4,680 milliamp hours. That's roughly 17% bigger than the 4A 5Gs and around 13%, if I did my math correct, bigger than the Pixel 5. If I can put that into practical terms, after roughly 4 hours of screen on time with my normal use, YouTube, email, texting, and social feed scrolling, that brought me down to around 70 to 75% consistently in the time that I've had this device and I've been using it. So far, it shouldn't be a problem for those of you wondering how the battery performs over time. It will easily get you through a couple of days if you moderate your use and maybe even enable, battery saving mode on this device. It will definitely get you 2 days. Moving on to probably the most important part of any device, the screen. The Pixel 5a screen still uses standard 60 Hz refresh rate panel, and some folks have made it a point to call this a downside. To me, it's just fine considering the class of device that this is competing against and where it is priced at. Google did a good job with sizing this device because you get a 6.34 inch display that is elongated in the way that you can still use it comfortably with one hand. You know, the 6-inch screens can get kind of weird to handle with one hand. And to me, this is an important aspect of having a smartphone. I don't like two-handed devices, and anything bigger than this was probably pushing it. That's important to me. I think if Google went any bigger, it would have made this device unwieldy for some folks with medium-sized hands like myself. The 1080p OLED panel brings plenty of detail to the table and performs surprisingly well in direct sunlight. It is a really good display, and it is really nice to look at. So all of this begs the question, what's new with the Pixel 5a? There's a slightly bigger display. The 5a is built with a premium metal unibody that gives the device its IP67 waterproof and dustproof rating. And finally, the most important is its price. The 5a will cost you $450 at the time of this video, which is $50 less than what the 4a 5G's introductory price launched at. Along the lines of 5G and cellular connectivity and your ability to connect to 5G in your area, the 5a supports sub-6 gigahertz 5G, which isn't the well-known millimeter wave 5G. I don't think Google will produce a version that supports millimeter wave 5G of or for the 5a in future iterations of this device. This is probably due to millimeter wave being hard to find, even though it is super fast. So in my mind, the 5a not having this capability of millimeter wave 5G is not a huge loss. I'm on T-Mobile anyway, and I haven't experienced any different connectivity than I have on 5 or, my iPhone 12 Pro. More on the cellular connectivity, I read more into the specifications of the 5a, and there are some worries on some people's part that the 5a lacks the C-band support within this device. C-band is the really good mid-band stuff that Verizon and AT&T will be adding over the next few years. But because it's something that's looking to be added to those service providers over the next few years, I don't think that's really important that it's included in the 5a. It's just that I think Google is banking on the fact that most folks upgrade their devices every 2 or 3 years. In that time, technology usually comes down in cost and is usually better. I'm not making any forecast or anything here, but that is just where I think Google is at by not including it. They keep costs down. I haven't really noticed a better or worse experience. It's really consistent on T-Mobile's network here in northern Utah, so your usage will vary. Ultimately, a bigger battery, larger screen, and the addition of water and dust proofing may sound like a short list of upgrades, but to me, it isn't. One thing to consider when buying into the Pixel name is that you get the software advantage because you get it directly from Google. You get the updates directly from them. The user interface is simple and functional and really nice. There's nothing better than vanilla Android out there. Additionally, you'll get 3 years of OS support, upgrades, and security to the device from Google because they made that promise to you. So what are my recommendations? If you're on an Android device that doesn't have 5G yet and are on a limited budget, get the Pixel 5a 5G. You will not be disappointed. The battery life, the larger screen, the vanilla Android experience, it just all comes together in a really nice package that is affordable to most. And if you wait around a little bit and are kind of teetering or still have a device that works a little bit and will get you to the sales season of this holiday season, I would wait for that. It happens every year. The Pixel lineup goes down in cost and you can save a little bit of money. So, I mean, if you could get this thing at like $400, $50 less than what it's listed at now, this is a must buy. Anyways, before I close, I want to take another opportunity to disclose Google was kind enough to send the 5a out to me and was nice enough to continue to include me as part of the Gift from Google campaign. So that's how I'm able to bring you this coverage and bring you this review. I've been using this thing for a little over 3 weeks now as my secondary device, and I really have enjoyed it just as much as I have the Pixel 5. I do tend to lean towards the Pixel 5 more because of its form factor and it fits better in my pocket. Carrying 2 phones is already a hassle as it is, and having that smaller form factor is a must for me. If I had to pick from between the two, I would definitely go the Pixel 5 route because it's just a better device. Anyways, thank you so much for your viewership and support. It is because of you that I have this platform that I'm able to share with you these thoughts that are unedited, unfiltered, unchecked. Google sees this the same time that I post it. I don't run anything through them. These are my honest thoughts on the device. And again, because of you, I am able to do this. Well, that about does it for me in this one. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I'm Tomas, and I'll catch you in the next one.